Steven, that's a bad start already. You know how there were a lot of expectations for the Leafs heading into the season?
Yes.
And we thought they'd be good?
Yes.
And a big reason for that is the Leafs made the playoffs last year?
That happened.
But there was a huge asterisk on it that if only Tampa was healthy, they would have made it? You can't do that, man. I'm freaking out!
Hi!
Leafs Nation, stand witness for Austin Lucas! Full biblical! Austin Matthews is a Leaf! Why do I watch hockey? Stressfully, mostly. Leafs lose 2-0 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. The first place team in the league won. Funny that. But for real, the Leafs sit third in the Atlantic with 48 points. The Bruins sit second in the Atlantic with 50 points. Ooh, just 2 points up. Sitting in first place, the win tonight gives the Tampa Bay Lightning 60 points! 8 teams in the NHL haven't even hit 40 yet. 2 haven't even hit 30. Leafs has played the second best and best teams in the league back-to-back and lost both games in regulation. The first one against Vegas was their third game in 4 nights, and they looked like crap. This one against Tampa to open a 6-game homestand, I thought they looked great. I'm actually gonna do an optimistic video after a loss. Should be like one of those meme accounts. This is a very rare Steve Dangle doesn't freak out video. Share and get good luck for 10 years. Why are they like this? I don't think anyone Instagrams this way. Look, the Leafs did not win tonight. But generally speaking, I think if the Leafs play the way they played tonight, they will win more games than they lose. Unless some miracle happens, like right now at the time I'm shooting this video, there are under 4 minutes left in the Minnesota-Florida game. The Wild are up 4-1 on the Panthers. And the Leafs are 9 points ahead of the Panthers. That is the closest Atlantic team to them. You've had a bit of a skid, but you got a little bit of wiggle room to figure it out. I think this game, especially right at the beginning of a homestand, was them starting to figure it out. Before the game even starts, before the ceremony even starts, we need to talk about this a little bit more. The Leafs call up Freddie Gauthier. So the Leafs call up Freddie Gauthier, and Babcock, who is panting and sweaty and out of breath because he likes to run around the ACC, literally do that before coaches' press conferences. He's given a press conference, and to me it was one of the best of the season. You need to watch that. I'm looking right now on the Leafs YouTube channel, 2,800 views. How is that it? This press conference is Babcock in a nutshell. It is brutal honesty. When he starts talking about Gauthier, he begins by talking about how much he liked him, I liked him more in the NHL than the AHL. And then he goes, we had to do things in the summer because of, he got injured. Can you imagine Dominic Moore watching that quote? I could have swore that my name was Dominic Moore, but I just found out from this video that my name is Do Things in the Summer. He might as well have said the only reason we signed Dominic Moore is because Freddie Gauthier got hurt. And then he talks about ideally Freddie Gauthier would have had an opportunity to be on this team. You know what? The end of the Leafs road trip they just had, it was in that weird time between Christmas and New Year where time doesn't matter. And it's all right, everyone. Make sure you have a good Christmas and happy holiday. Go home, have turkey, candy, yams with the family. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish. The second the first party blower goes off for New Year's, hockey teams get down to business. And this, to me, much more than the Calvin Pickard move, was the Leafs going, all right, let's start to look at what this team is going to look like in the spring. Because damn it, they intend to play in the spring! Stop yelling, Steve. Get to the ceremony. Man, I really don't know what else to say other than perfect. They have a pin drop moment of silence for Johnny Bower. Joe Bowen does an amazing job narrating a spectacular video tribute to Johnny Bower. And then, all wearing #1 Bower jerseys, just like the Leafs did in warm-up, Johnny Bower's enormous family comes out onto the ice. It was a classy ceremony for a classy man. One of the very subtle things that I loved about it is when the camera went on to Connor Brown and he's just looking up at it in wonder. Because I know we probably put too much emphasis on it with him and with other guys in this team, but he grew up a Leafs fan. He's a member of the Leafs. He probably met him. Hey, he probably met him as a kid. Most importantly, though, the tribute wasn't just about how Johnny Bower was an excellent hockey player with an excellent story. The guy captured the heart of Leafs Nation by just being a good person. It really is that simple, just be a good person and just treat people with kindness and have a kind heart. Now that I've said that, what is wrong with that ref? How do you give Polak the only penalty there? Nemestikov shoved a goalie. Apparently that's just allowed now. There are a bunch of scoring opportunities going back and forth in the first period. It's funny, a lot of people after the game, because of the third period, were like, oh, this game was boring. The first half was bonkers. 2 blue and white offensive teams going rah, rah, just exchanging blows. As Chris Johnson tweeted, I've been on this train for a while, but a Tampa Bay Lightning Leafs series would be awesome. And the hockey was redonkulous, as was Freddie Anderson and Andrei Vasilevsky. But that incident in front, yes, Freddie is messing with Nemestikov a little bit, but he gives him a hard shove and knocks the goalie down. Now, what Polak did after was dumb. I saw a lot of people calling it noble and good, you're sticking up for your goalie, I guess. But let's talk about what that actually was, okay? Because a lot of people were like, well, no, good on him for sticking up for the goalie. All right, when you stick up for someone, what are you doing? What are you trying to do? You're trying to send a message, aren't you? You're trying to send it loud and clear. Don't touch my effing goalie. I will ruin you. What was the lesson Namestnikov took from this? Oh, if I do that, we'll get a power play, which seems good because our power play is also good. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep doing that. So I don't want to rip on Polak for it because I think his heart was in the right place. It was with his team. It was with his goalie. But your mind, you got to use it, man. It's frustrating. It's unfair, but it's just the damn truth. Personally, I thought that play should have been 2 for Polak. I mean, because it was a penalty, and then 2 for Namestnikov. Worst case, give 4 to Polak, 1 for the shove, and 1 for dropping his gloves with Conacher. You give 2 to Namestnikov for the initial shove, and then you give another 2 to Conacher. How the Leafs came out of that on the penalty kill, that's shocking, dude. But you know what? No, the Leafs aren't going to let Tampa score on this bogus power play. And the Lightning might be big and bad, and the Lightning might be electrifying and scary, but guess what? The Leafs head to first intermission with a tie game. In fact, 8 minutes into the second, it is a tie game. Granted, Tampa outplaying the Leafs slightly, but the Leafs are there. Like, they're not getting blown out here. Now, Freddie's behind the net. He's got the puck. Chris Kunitz with an amazing hustle, and Freddie coughs it up. Kunitz throws it in front to Cedric Paquette, who exists allegedly. That was his first of the season. Played .658 in this game. That guy scored. Now, while everyone was yelling and screaming at Freddie Anderson for making a terrible move there, Colby Armstrong pointed out on the Sportsnet broadcast that it might have actually been a miscommunication between Freddie and Borgman. Miscommunication or not, all I know is Chris Kunitz had way too easy of a path to the Leafs goalie. And this game that was so even for so long is 1-0 Lightning. Now, 4.5 minutes later or so, the second Tampa goal to me was so much more frustrating. Puck is handed off to Mikhail Sergachev. He swarms around the Leafs net, throws it in front to Alex Killorn, and nothing happens. The play continues. Great job, Freddie. Then you hear Greg Millen goes, it's in. The horn blares. Turns out the puck went in. Shoot, Leafs down 2-0. That's not the frustrating part. Oh, it was frustrating to think the Leafs had gotten away with that, and then it turned out they didn't get away with it. But really watch this goal. Watch it. Here, I'm gonna show you some screen caps, which I don't often do. Using NHL.com. Oh my god. All right, we see Sergachev has the puck, and he's about to come at the Leafs, and oh, who's that guy? Who's that guy there on the right side of the screen? 2 seconds later, all right, well, Polak's going at Sergachev. I mean, granted, not hard, but whatever, he's there. Hainsey, I think it is, he's in front with a guy, that's fine. Kadri has a guy, that's good. It's a 4-on-3 right now! And by the time Killorn even comes into the shot, I think that's Matthews getting in there. And then a couple seconds later, you see Nylander trailing. So was that just a terrible line change or what? Look, the Tampa Bay Lightning are fast, and they're skilled, and they're experienced. They're a very good hockey team. But you know what? There are lots of teams out there that have that. They got speed, they got skill, they got some experience. They're good hockey teams. What separates the great from the good is attention to detail and trying that little extra bit harder. Maybe a miscommunication on the first goal and an incredible forecheck from Chris Kunitz, followed by the Tampa Bay Lightning basically getting a power play while at even strength. And unfortunately, that was the rest of the game. Tampa was so good defensively. They used their sticks, they clogged up the middle, they gave the Leafs a real hard time getting out of their own zone, the neutral zone, getting into the Tampa zone. There was one player though. Babcock just hands the Mountain Dew to Mitch Marner, but it's not even in a bottle, it's in a can, and he opens it and drinks the whole thing in one gulp like Popeye. It didn't work, Mitch, but that was a good try. Do it again. Okay, Mitchie, for this next one, that's Victor Hedman. You're not going to want to go right at it. Holy smokes, he burned him! And Mitch Marner had incredible life in this game and some incredible looks, but again, because the Lightning were so good at just clogging up everything, Marner only got 2 shots on goal. They were talking about Matthews and Nylander having quiet games. I thought they actually looked fine. I just think Tampa did a very good job. You got to give them credit. Clock winds down. It looks like the Leafs might have one at the end. No, they don't even get that. They lose 2-0. Yes, it was a shootout loss. Yes, it was on home ice, and that makes it sting even more. But if you actually watch this game start to finish, and you consider the fact that it was against the Tampa Bay Lightning, I'm not sure how you could walk away from this discouraged. Actually, the one way I think you walk away from it discouraged is the Leafs could have won this game. This wasn't the first place team kicking some other team's ass. This was the Leafs hanging in there with them. And ultimately what cost them was just a pair of brain farts. That was all that separated them from the best team in hockey right now. Tampa fans, if I were you, I'd shut up. I'd shut up forever. I'd never complain ever again, and I'd shut up. Like Tampa fans, I saw them getting all mad about the Polak-Namestnikov thing. Shut up! Like, even if you have a point or you're right, shut up. You cheer for the Lightning. What am I supposed to do, feel bad? No, if I were you, you know what? You know your team's good. You know that. If you have the time, I would watch more Eastern Conference games if I were you. I would watch teams from the Metro Division. I would watch the Caps. Because Tampa's going to finish first in the Atlantic, barring a miracle. You know that's going to happen. Which means Tampa's going to play a Metro team in the first round. And probably third. Watch those teams and watch them closely. See what they do and see how the Lightning stack up. Because I know the Lightning are first place. I know they're the best right now. but they're not unbeatable. That's what I would do if I were you. And now to end things off, a lot of people seem to enjoy the Twitter question segment, so we're gonna try that again. Casual Mats, do you think JVR has been chewing on the exact same green mouthguard all these years? Ew, no, you don't. Oh. You know what though, while I was watching Mitch Marner have a whale of a game, I was like, where's JVR? JVR is one of the best players in the league when it comes to doing the things JVR is good at, which is hands in tight, tipping it, and being a nuisance in front. I didn't see any of that in this one, not a morsel. He was invisible. Heart of Lad, Gauthier on this team full time? Honestly, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's been pretty apparent since day one that Babcock is not a huge Dominic Moore fan. He's been a healthy scratch at times when he didn't necessarily need to be, and they threw Marleau at center. Remember this, they started Eric Fair. Eric Fair began the Leafs' first game of the season. Moore didn't. Now, you should have more centers than you need, but on a night-in, night-out basis, Babcock seemed to like Gauthier in this one. I thought Gauthier looked good in this one. I think that's how it's gonna go. I think that's how it's gonna go. Kevin Deeth, would you change anything for their next game against? Watch video. Leafs are gonna play Tampa, I think, 3 more times, and Tampa's probably gonna be awesome in all 3 of them. You played a good game, watch it back, and find out how you can play a great game. Well, if it isn't a Tampa fan, please describe how amazing Vasilevsky is. Thank you. Asking for a fan base. Which fan base? The Preds? Shut up. Dude, he was the difference in this game. I mean, there was the whole attention to detail thing that I just went off on, but let's be honest. If Vasilevsky was anything other than Vezina level, there's a good chance the Leafs get at least 1 in this one, maybe even tied. But it is January 3rd. Vasilevsky has played 33 games, and he has a .937 save percentage. Last year, Bobrovsky won the Vezina with a .931. Also, if Vasilevsky wins, would that be the first time ever that we've had back-to-back Russian goalies win the Vezina? You have up to 10 words you can say to any player on this team about this game. Who do you say them to, and what are they? Mitch Marner, you're doing great, sweetie. What would you name your boat, if you had one? How about Nikolai Botchevsky? Are you worried about an end-of-season collapse on the standings for the Leafs? No, you're worried about an end-of-the-season collapse for the Leafs. It's not gonna happen. Shut up. No. This is different. This is different. It feels different. It is different. It's different. It's different. The other Atlantic teams are too far back, and the Leafs are too good. Unless there's just some injury catastrophe like Tampa had last season, you can't help that. The Leafs have been scaring me a little bit lately, but I have faith they're going to figure this out. If you don't notice JVR on the ice, does his mouth guard go unchewed? Well, I didn't notice JVR in this game, but I feel like he probably sleeps with it. Not to prevent snoring like some people, like he still chews it in his sleep. It's like a pacifier. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you liked this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. If you're not subscribed already, new year, new you, right? Tell all your friends, and if you lose, but you learn from it, are you really defeated? Look at the standings. Yeah, the answer is yes.